Hello world, hello Australia. It's Jamie here, the Crypto Koala. Now today, guys, I've got Ryan Lloyd. He's the founder of TranslateMe. Ryan, great to have you here today, mate.
Yeah, good to be here, man. Thanks very much for the opportunity, Jamie. I really appreciate the exposure and the time. Good to chat with you.
Yeah, no worries. I understand that you're based in Mauritius.
Yes, the project's based here. Initially, the project's sort of starting or beginnings came from a company that we set up in Mauritius, and a lot of my interests are this side. So we've decided to work from here as it makes a lot more sense for the general direction.
So how are they over there with regulations? Are they pretty friendly in Mauritius with crypto-wise?
Well, it's catching on. They had a blockchain conference in August, and we were there, fortunately, and the government and the local authorities jointly are looking at exploring the opportunities generally in a general area of fintech, and blockchain falls within that category. Whilst we're here, we witnessed the Vice President give the opening speech, and there's a very pro movement towards the industry, except the regulation and legislation is a little bit behind, but they proactively are pushing that and openly announced that they would be inviting interest in this field to the island in the form of investment and education and anything that contributes to the industry. So yeah, we're quite excited. I think this year we're going to see a lot coming from Mauritius in general. And as far as regulation goes, when we were speaking with some of the authorities at the event, they are basing a lot of their sort of focus on what Malta has done and fast-tracking their approach to adopt something that works in the short term. So yeah, we're quite excited about the future, yeah, in general.
Yeah, pretty cool. It's got like a small island like Malta, and it seems to be even Malta's like leading the way in a sense. So mate, tell us a bit about yourself. Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Malta is definitely pushing the envelope there.
So Ryan, tell us about yourself, mate, a bit about your background and...
Sure. I think what's related to TranslateMe, I've been in development for the last 10 years with a company that's based in South Africa. And my experience is working on projects similar to TranslateMe when it comes to featuring products online, development online, apps, and online marketing. So I have a company in South Africa that's helped a lot with the project and staff under me as a result. And because of that, we were involved in a project in Mauritius, which also was under the umbrella of TranslateMe for translation of documents on the island for hotels. And my experience in development has helped us fast-track solutions in that area. And as a result, I've had a lot of influence in the crypto space too. And from those two areas, they've come together to create what I believe is probably the future for translation, and that's TranslateMe Network. Myself personally, I've always been involved in various businesses and always been pushing the envelope as far as my personal interests are concerned. And as an entrepreneur, you'll see that I'm involved in various businesses in South Africa and Mauritius. My passion is very much directed towards the industry as a whole, but this project, TranslateMe, certainly is a big focus for me this year. It will certainly be a lot of work to get to where we're going, so it's going to take a lot of effort from my side personally.
It sounds like your background, also being in Mauritius, you encountered multiple different languages and the barriers associated with that. So it seems like it's inspired you in a way to develop TranslateMe.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in South Africa, there's 11 official languages. Here in Mauritius, it's very diversified because of the tourism industry. So there's a lot of business that changes hands that is broken down by the barriers of language. And that's why we found an opportunity within the hotel industry to help them. And certainly Mauritius has been a lot of inspiration for why we need this has come from Mauritius.
So actually tell me a bit about TranslateMe, the actual decentralized application.
Okay. At the moment, a lot of the project has been in development from a proof of concept. A lot of 2018, I spent a good part of my time looking at the dynamics of creating your own translation network and proving on a smaller scale what is the potential for the decentralization of these services and whether it's possible to do so. The 2018 was really a year where we put practical processes in place to test the theory. One of those is we have our own French to English model. We developed from scratch. We're using open source software, and we took a couple of Ethereum miners to assist us with that. And through the trial and error, create a French to English UI, which someone could go and type in French and get your English out. And we've added an API to that to use on our software, which we've now accompanied with Telegram. And a big part of TranslateMe's current use is really translation for developers like myself who want to plug in something that will seamlessly action the translation of the text or voice or any other source file at a later stage. And that is going to be our major focus, improving that with our French to English model. So as it stands, the app is, I wouldn't call it an app. I would call it a process that we're working towards. And that process is seamlessly translating input for a user that is typically developing a product or service that end users would want to use that requires language translation. So our immediate goal is to continue with the French to English and prove the entire steps from beginning to end. If you look at our Telegram app, which maybe I can show to you just now, you'll see that you can go on and chat live with other users in different languages. And we want to take the French to English model and include that in that process. But utilizing what we've built in the short period with our own funding and focus. Once we prove that, we will scale into other languages and certainly move into a lot of the niche markets that are not being looked at currently.
So how do you differ from, say, like Google's got a Translate app? How do you guys differ from them guys' traditional centralized applications?
I think the major difference is the use case of the token, and that is that the scope of translation is wide, and it's a huge task to take on. Even Google has failed miserably with a lot of languages that are currently supported on its platform, but it's getting better. And in the last 2 years, it definitely has made some strides with the way that it processes data. The key element that's missing is that there isn't enough data to support the different languages the many different languages that are out there. So one of the use cases of the token is to collect that data, allow users to submit data back to our own algorithm and use that data to improve its own understanding of its output. So to do this, we need to create a platform for users to offer this information to us. And in a reward for that information, issue tokens to users that contribute. We spoke about earlier, and one of the major areas that I think we have potential in is including everyone in this process. Instead of just making it available to translators, if you look at our MVP now, anyone can use the app and anyone can contribute, whether you're a translator or not. As long as you're in your own native language to be able to understand the machine's translation, you can give back to that language that the machine's trying to translate by submitting corrections. And those corrections are hugely differential in our process. Google's not collecting data in that way. They are mass collection of what is already available. And that's what they're utilizing. They are improving on it, but there's no new data. And I think the best example is if you try and translate, for instance, in South Africa, there's an Afrikaans language there's a Zulu language. They're very, very popular. Between the two, there's about 13 million people speaking those two languages. But if you try to translate that on Google, it doesn't work. And it's probably around 56% correct. It's useful because it's the only thing available. But imagine the Afrikaans or the Zulu community contributing back on the back of machine making mistakes. And we believe this is a huge difference between us and say, an organization like Google's. We're actually giving value back to that individual that's contributing real-time value to the language, which is far behind in terms of the data that's available. We're going to be creating data sets that are unique to thousands of different languages in the future, because these communities will build and submit. And for that, not only for their own community, their own culture, and their own language, but for that they will also be rewarded in something that I think will be part of our system later of value, which is a token. So yeah, I think that's the major difference, is the contribution. Obviously decentralizing it and taking it to a level where everyone can contribute. These are other scale mechanisms that have certainly helped the likes of Ethereum. But our major difference, I believe, is the data, the unique data that we're going to start creating because of the use case. Of course, when it is decentralized, the major benefit of that is the cost. I believe we could reduce the cost of translation through machines by about 90% if it was decentralized and the contributors were getting paid directly and there was no middleman cost or profit barrier, which is what we experienced with our own company in Mauritius with Google. There's a huge cost that comes with translating through Google, and we aim to reduce that also. And that's a secondary major differentiation. I think we will be able to reduce cost by about 90%.
Yeah, I like the fact that you've got a use case of a token where you're rewarding the human contributors to the Telegram application, say for example, and it gives them an incentive to want to contribute, to make it better. So you've got the human input adding to the virtual machine or the mechanical input to make it better, to refine it over time. So over time it gets better and better and better, and the users end up getting tokens. So I think that's a really good model there, Ryan. Now, good thing of the Telegram application, it seems like it could be a big feature of TranslateMe. So I wonder if you'd be able to just give us a rundown of that and maybe give us a demonstration if you can.
Yeah, sure. I think that would be a good idea. Let me maybe share my screen here quick. Okay, so let me tell you why we developed this. You have to look at this part of TranslateMe as a separate business in a way, but it was created to create awareness, to create the flow of our proof of concept, so that we could have the pieces that are necessary to demonstrate from start to finish. And really, the starting point is a user like maybe yourself and me, and maybe we're chatting to someone and they speak a different language. That's really the core starting point. And to solve that problem, there's going to be a business or a company or a service that's going to come along and say, hey, we can translate this for you. So what is the platform and that you want us to do this for you? And in this case, it's Telegram. And by providing that service, they have a product, but they don't have the ability to actually translate. They are using our API and they're using our ability to actually submit that translation. So there's a couple of parties involved here. And if you go through the white paper, it does explain this. But we've spent money and time on this because we needed to visually explain this to someone, to just show it to them without something physical. So what this does at the moment is really shows you the potential for taking an API, plugging it in, and getting a product that doesn't exist, which Telegram doesn't have a translation product at the moment for reasons beyond one app, I think, on Android platform, but it doesn't work very well. And this type of API should be plugged into every chat system, to every forum, to every commentary system, to anything where there's interaction between users, and there needs to be that language barrier broken down. And on top of that, instead of it just translating that information for you, any input that's given back from the user, they can get rewarded. So instead of it just translating, there's actually a mechanism to earn. So imagine the future where you're chatting to someone on a website or forum or something online, and you're interacting with that person, but you're recognizing mistakes the machine's making. And while you're doing that, you're saying, okay, well, let me help these guys out in this particular language, and you submit corrections. So not only are you going about getting that barrier broken down, but you're actually earning tokens. And so when a company approaches us in the future and says, we want to translate 10 languages on our website through our chat portal, we'll say, right, use this API. Users can basically chat in these languages. And as an added benefit, instead of using someone else's API, you can actually incentivize your users to use this because they would have some means of earning through the contribution mechanism that we're going to add to the API. So this is what we're trying to explain here. But it's fantastic as it is. It's been in development for about 3 months, and we're just proofing it now on the web version. We're going to move it to Android and iOS as soon as we've ironed out some of the obvious bugs and continue to make it readily available to as many platforms as possible. We've seen a lot of interest in it, and we've seen a lot of the neo platforms also take interest because they have a lot of language issues, especially in the Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Russian. These are major areas that they battle with on a daily basis. So I'm going to demonstrate to you the basics. Jamie, I don't know if I've added you. No, this is a different account. So let me just find you. I think you're following us in our group here.
Yeah, it'd be under Koala.
Crypto. Just spell Koala for me.
Koala.
LA.
Yeah, there we go. I am the fourth one down.
Yes, okay.
That's the one.
So, so first of all, it's a normal Telegram layer. We use the API. So everything works the same, except that we've added some features. One of the main ones is that we've changed, you can change your language directly in your menu. And we've also tracking credits for contributions as a basic reward system. It's not part of anything that we are going to depend on in the future, but it's an incentive example. So right now, if you send a message on the platform, you actually earn one TMN token. And if you contribute in that language, you also earn tokens. And we're currently allowing users to create credit on the system, and we are going to issue them these tokens for their, their efforts in the meantime. This is an immediate, small amount of users that are actually doing this, but anyone that goes on here will actually credit their system if they're using it. So it's a little incentive example, but it's by no means the final result. It's just an example. And in here, if you want to change the language, let's use Chinese because always visually impressive. Where's the Chinese? I'm already on Chinese. So you would select Chinese and change the language. And let's just assume you are Chinese. In the normal Telegram, you can chat, but in ours, you have to activate the chat. So whatever language you've selected, you need to activate it in the group or with the person. So when you activate it, what's going to happen is it's going to reload the page. And if I send you a message, send it to you in Chinese. Now, the interesting thing here is that you don't need the app to interact back with me. If you go onto Telegram now, you'll actually see that you're going to get the message in a format that shows both sides of the conversation in the two languages. So assuming that you're Chinese and I'm English, I can, say, hey, I can talk to you in my language, which is English, and you would receive it in Chinese. Now, on your side, you're going to get a machine-translated version of how are you today. But if you type it back to me in Chinese, I will get a machine translation of Chinese to English. And we can go back and forth like this and not speak a word of either language.
I see the potential in this, say, for instance, for investors that want to get involved in an ICO, STO, IPO, that they want to communicate with the project, they want to know more about it, or say, for instance, with an exchange, foreign exchange, say, for instance, a Chinese exchange, and they want to communicate with English. There's so many use cases, and just having it on Telegram, easy to use. I'm showing people on my end as it's come through. So, hi, how are you today? So I can see the functionality, and it looks really good.
Okay, excellent. So what we plan to do is really get to commercial level of the software, and then offer it to crypto communities that actually need this more than most, I believe, especially in Telegram. And on the back of that, we plan to integrate a billable use case for the amount of characters that are processed through the system. So you'll need to load the token to use the app over a certain point. So we'll make it free for a certain usage level, but once you pass that, there will be a use case integrated into the app. We're trying to balance exposure with the revenue model at the moment. So we don't have a set date for when we're going to do that, but we definitely feel that users would be prepared to pay a very small amount for this use of this simple barrier issue is just removed. If you can just jump on Telegram, start chatting to your mate or business associate, or even if you just want to follow some of the big English groups in a certain crypto group, it's so difficult to do so if you're Chinese. You have to go to the smaller dedicated Chinese group, and it's not the same. If you want to follow the big news, the English groups that are constantly feeding information back to the crypto investors. One thing I want to show you here is we've already added the ability to rate this translation. So you can send back a rating, and you can obviously type back here a correction. So the user, if you sent me something in English, I'd be able to correct the English basically because I speak English. The machine will give me maybe something that says, how are you today? Maybe it'll put today in the beginning and put the how at the end. And I can see the meaning, and I can type it back and submit an English version of what the machine's done. On your side, because assuming you speak Chinese, you would see the machines maybe missed 1 or 2 characters or maybe a word order, and you would be able to type that back in on your side and submit it, provided you're using our platform. If you're using the normal Telegram, you will not have this feature, of course, but you will still have the interaction, which is you'll get both ends of the language. And this here is what we plan to integrate in our first phase of a use case, which is paying the user to give us this example, this piece of data that's so important for the algorithm to understand how it should improve itself in the future. It's a very, very unique process that's not been used in language translation at the moment, which is taking a hybrid contribution from a human and integrating that into the machine's existing understanding and fast-tracking its learning ability.
Wonderful, Ryan. Thank you for showing me through that. I wonder if we can go on to our next questions, mate, if you wouldn't mind, Ryan.
Yeah, sure. Let me stop sharing here. Here we go.
Oh, brilliant. So I understand you've got a unique funding model, and you're already listed on the Switch.io Decentralized exchange. So can you tell us a bit about your way you're doing your funding?
Yeah, sure. Let me just close this door quickly. One second. All right. So the whole concept of raising funds through an ICO definitely works. The last year, though, it certainly has taken a bit of a negative turn. But the basic concept of raising money through an ICO, or maybe if you want to say an STO these days, is excellent. I think it allows quick access to funding that is warranted by your project and your efforts, and it shortcuts all the hoops that you have to jump through, which you would do through a traditional method. So we 100% are committed to that model, but we've changed things a bit. I think we flipped it on its head, to be honest. We're using the access and the merits that come with raising funds through an ICO and we're using the benefits of doing that. But we are also doing it inversely, making the tokens readily available to anyone through an exchange and opening the market to its own value from the start. So in the beginning, as an ICO grows, I think what their biggest focus is marketing. Get the project out there and get that awareness of what you guys are trying to do and build that right up to its maximum. And then you do the ICO and you push it through maybe 30 days and you raise those funds. So that event though is great and it's worked for others. But the problem is that all this effort's been spent on marketing and nothing's really been done along the way, to prove concept and physically produce something that if I did sit across the table with you, I could show you something. And we've done it that way. So the last of 2018, most of the year, we worked on the product. We didn't do any marketing, to be honest. I was hesitant to promote anything until I was sure that I could pull this off. I could not bear the responsibility of thousands of people contributing, and I haven't even done my homework, So last year we did a lot of really try this, try that, and so, I probably switched a couple of developers a few times because we definitely failed once or twice, but I failed with my money and my time, and that was fine. That's what I was comfortable with. So what we did is really focus on trying to prove concept, and actually I think personally my confidence in the project. And we did that with the French model. We did that with the machines and the developers that we have at our disposal. And in November, we decided, right, we are ready to do this. But again, instead of, pushing the marketing, we've been pushing development. And this is why the Telegram app was developed between November and now. What you see is what we've pushed out. That is rapid development on something that we think is important to the project. And marketing on that side, we have handled in more of an organic way, which is if you hear about us, chat to us. Let us share the product with you. Let us show you what we've done. But I don't want to push the hype of things past the point of the product because it will imbalance the value. So what we've done is we've listed the token on Switchio's exchange. We've listed the portion of private sale tokens to the public. The transparency there is amazing because no one has bought tokens other than what's on the exchange. So no one's getting a discounted deal. No one's getting that backhanded, closed door, private sale.
Very transparent, yeah.
So look, the volume's not good right now. We've sold, I think, just under 2 million tokens. I'm not worried about the sale. I know it will come. But what an investor can see is that if he buys these tokens today, no one else has got them for a quarter of the price or underhanded deals, so that when the price does go up, those guys come along and mess with the price value. And that was the big issue that I was trying to solve, is how do we fix that problem, which is that the masses actually buy a lot of these coins at prices that they are not really justified because someone has got large bags of them in the private portion of the sale. And they come along and they just, they dump the coin for their 50% or their 100% because it's business, So we listed on the Switchio exchange. We said, let's put it out there. Let's let everyone see what's going on. There might be some negatives that come with it, but I think that the product will overcome those. And I'm happy to gradually really grow the value through our product and our offering, as opposed to just saying, hey, this is what we're going to do and this is the price that we're selling our tokens at. So the good news is that you can get the private tokens portion at the private price now, whether you want to buy $1 or $100, all those contributions will help us, and they will go towards the actual value of the token. And when you want to cash out, you can, but it's transparent, and you should probably get the value that it's valued at, and it shouldn't hurt the actual price at a later stage, because if it grows slowly, it can't just fall off a cliff all of a sudden. Whereas if it grows like that, it's inevitable that the big guys will come through and just dump for profit. It's human nature to do so. So if you go on Zooko now, you can get the tokens at a stepped price, which is, we've stepped it slowly. Each million that goes out, it will slowly go up in price. There has been people selling under that. So people bought maybe a month ago and they sold a couple now under. But what's brilliant is it's open. So the value is up to us to prove it. We've got to prove concept. We've got to prove the work and the product that's coming later. And that's where our value will come up. And I said to you earlier also that we don't necessarily need to rush this. We need to build stability in our product. So you can't rush that. You have to do it step by step, because you just end up with a pile of sand if you build in proper layers of foundation. So, and if we're not rushing it, we don't need the expenditure and the funds that are required for large ICOs. We need an ongoing commitment and revenue investment from the guys that believe in our project. We absolutely invite that. We are ready for that. But we don't need colossal amounts of income to come in now. A lot of this is self-funded. I have other business interests that help me with projects like this financially. And I'm almost more comfortable doing it on my own to an extent, because like I said, I bear the responsibility of the guys that are invested, and that's something that I don't want to deal with if we fail. But I plan not to fail, and that's why we did the trials in 2018, and we're just going to keep moving forward one step at a time, but putting our product first rather than the news on what's coming.
So delivering something substantial, you've been building and delivering something like in reverse order, so people can see something tangible.
Yes, that's it. That's all we want to do. The guys that do believe in the project and see the value in that, they're the ones that will be rewarded in the future when we take this to the next level. So the current private allocation is definitely an investment opportunity from the point of view that they'll get on, look at the project, look at the product, and see there's real people behind this, not a quick get-rich scheme.
So being on the Neo ecosystem, and you're listed on a Switcho exchange, so there's some advantage there on being in the Neo ecosystem. So how come you chose Neo? Because there's some really good features on Neo I'd just like to try and talk about, but just from yourself, Ryan, like how come you chose Neo?
Right. So personally, I've been involved in crypto from 2016. So it hasn't been too long, but I've been around long enough to see AntShares and Neo's transformation and its serious progress that it's made in the last couple of years. And as a result, I've been very close to its capabilities and its ability to support a project like ours is clear to me that it can. We did look at other platforms, but Neo was closer to home for me. It suited our needs. I also don't think that it would be necessary to port. I think as Neo is going to serve very well as a value system, and our token there will be part of our process, but we won't need to re-engineer that side of it. So Neo will handle that for us. It's got the ability to manage the transactions that are required, I believe. And I think that we will scale really well with Neo as it keeps improving. I think the future of Neo is going to see much faster translations, more decentralized nodes. And I think that the community that comes with that is also a major benefit. We've had a lot of support from just general Neo. I don't want to call them celebrities. I don't know if that's the right word, but guys that shouldn't take your call have taken my call. And I think that there's a family feel to Neo that just doesn't exist in the other platforms and projects that are out there. And I felt that from day one, and it was a big part of also why I went with Neo. Very, very supportive across the layout or lay of the land. And I just haven't had a lot of negativity from their project. So the community helps too. And I see big things for Neo in the future. So I want to be part of that. I want to be, the early guys that they talk about in the Neo ecosystem. And I think there's a lot of value that comes with that. The other major thing I think is very clear to me is that Neo's really tried to steer clear of scam coins and projects that are just able to be deployed quickly and then vanish. So some of the barriers that they've created, like the gas allocation, you have to buy a large portion of, I think it's 500 tokens. And at the time of purchase, it's a bit low now, but it was a substantial amount of commitment to be able to deploy a contract. And you had to really either just have a lot of money or be serious about your project. So I think Neo also has really tried its best to address that issue with crypto. And I think I recognize the value in that, and I think investors will also.
Oh, definitely. I just think of the whole smart contract system, the virtual machine with Neo. It's just really unique. It's something I think is better than Ethereum. The smart contract, where it's a deterministic. Also, the consensus algorithm, I think it's invented by Neo. And the DBFT, and I think that's a really good consensus algorithm.
Yes,
so I think
definitely.
So yeah, there's some
Ryan,
there's some really good features of Neo, and there's some really good decentralized applications like yourself.
Yes,
I've been talking to, and I'm watching, and they've got that is how they're interconnecting, some of them working with each other, not all of them, but some of them are working with each other, and there's some great, as I said, there's some great decentralized applications. I think there's up to about 30 now. So, Ryan, are you working with any of them at the moment? Because I can see some connections where you might be able to assist each other with your application. And
yes. Yeah, so some good examples. I think the closest tangible example to someone that would definitely work with us in the near future, once we have our API available to do maybe 10 different languages, would be Traveler. And we spoke for a bit on what they were doing, and really we just had a friendly chat. And what came out of it is in the near future, they would want to translate their platform and have their content translated into various languages. And we certainly see collaboration within the Neo network as a first step. Instead of trying to step out into the big corporate world, stay within the family and help the Neo family where we can. And that's definitely going to be part of our focus. Just as Telegram was a choice for focus, it was because of the crypto ecosystem using that, and any other mediums within the Neo ecosystem would certainly be our target for relationships and partnerships, where the use case of the token can actually immediately go into a process as soon as possible.
So we've just entered in 2019. So what's your main goal for development-wise? What's your main goal for 2019?
We have two phases, and the first is to increase the uptake of the actual platform. And to do that, once we do that, we then inadvertently, we actually create data that's never been created before. When we have enough people using the platform that we've created on Telegram, we're going to be creating data that's of serious value to anyone that wants to tackle the language translation network. So our immediate first phase is to incentivize usage of the platform as soon as possible, and get the data that's required to improve our own algorithms in a funnel manner that we've got enough to work with, and that's overflowing. We have that, we would be a unique language company instantly. There is no company that's doing this at the moment. There are some basic introductions on the bigger guys like Google, Facebook. I've even seen it on Twitter, where users are able to rate the passage. But there's no direct input, there's no incentive, and we certainly would smash that mold. We'd be the first to do it, which is what I can't wait to get to. So pushing really hard on that. And I think within the crypto community, we'll have enough users, and then outside of the crypto layer, we'll have people that actually want to use the platform from a language point of view, And within the crypto ecosystem, there's so many users that are crossing that barrier every day that need that assistance, and we're going to provide that. And I think we should, in the short term, onboard a lot of users because we've got a need that we're going to fill the gap for, and as a result, the use case of our token would slot in. And then later on into the year, our biggest focus is then to take this data and turn it into an algorithm that is on our own internal platform, really, which is our own network, our own machines, our own infrastructure. And that is going to facilitate the proof that we can produce translation without the use of third-party entities, and then fold that back into, for example, our Telegram app and other platforms that we're currently developing, so that we are not utilizing the likes of Google for the actual translation. And that would be, if we can pull that off by 2019 with maybe 10 languages that are of high use, and there's a use case for the token when users are contributing, that would be that would be amazing. And I think we can achieve that within our scope of finances, our team that we have at the moment, and the general interest in the project. We are the first project to legitimately tackle translation and decentralize it. And we certainly have done a lot before we even got started. I mean, we literally just rung the bell in November, and we've achieved so much already. So I'm really looking forward to 2019. And I've been involved in a lot of businesses, but this is the first one that I really feel can make a huge difference to this industry. And I also have an almost sort of a big personal connection to the project, because I've always wanted to do something bigger than just make money. I've always wanted to be in a position to be able to provide something of value on a mass scale, and I've always wanted to be that guy to solve the bigger problems of the world. And I certainly haven't come close to being able to do that in any other scenario. And this might not, solve world peace and the other bigger issues, but it's definitely going to be a major contributor to society. Because I believe that currently the barrier for costs of just what we've built now in Telegram is just too high. We need to lower that to the maximum, and then really put the value back in the individual's hands, and make translation available to anyone that needs it and needs to utilize it. I mean, there's just so many applications where it could be used, but it's not, and it could help, but it's not. So yeah, I'm looking forward to proving that and overcoming that.
Just a really good, easy to use, seamless application, decentralized application. I guess just having that where we don't want to know how it works, it's just there, it's really useful. So something that's really going to be adopted. And, I think that I see potential in something like that being adopted.
Absolutely. I think on that point, I'd like to say something there, and I think it's so important. Adoption for crypto is going to be difficult, and it has been. But our project takes a lot of that away, because the end result is that the token will facilitate translation through an API that can be plugged into a program or service that a developer or a company will add. But the cost for that to the end user will be charged in fiat. It won't be charged in the token. It will be charged in dollar, USD, euro, whatever the case may be, depending on the country. The facilitator or the company that's developed the app must load the system with the tokens that are required to do translation. If you were a Chinese user and you're using our app, the end goal is you won't be paying with the token. You'll be paying in your fiat currency and getting the actual result. But for the system to do that translation, it will need tokens to facilitate paying the contributors and paying the individuals that contribute. And that will be for the developer or the company that develops the app. And that's for me, as simple as it gets. The end user doesn't have to know about crypto. The developer must make sure he's always got credit. So the token still has a use always, but it doesn't need to get through the problem of fiat. It doesn't have to, pass get past that barrier, which is a major issue. So we're quite excited because we have other projects now that are utilizing translation services that will essentially switch to our translation network because it's going to be cheaper. And as a company which has got nothing to do with translation network, it would utilize that service by making sure that it needs to buy tokens, and those tokens are consumed as output is given, just like a credit system, really. And I think that that's going to be a major use case that's going to be seamless. It's not going to have that barrier that a lot of cryptocurrencies have.
Wonderful, Ryan. That's really good. Well, I'm just going to give a quick disclaimer, mate. I provide a platform which for projects to share on for you guys to enjoy. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research, as I say in all my videos. And if you're interested in the project, I'll put down a link down below, guys, to check out. Go on their Telegram page. You can have a look, play with the app, see if you like it. Now, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, guys. Please share far and wide. Be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you feel like seeing more of the Crypto Koala. Now, Ryan, it's been a pleasure talking to you, mate, and have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too, man. The rest of yours, I'm going to go do mine. The sun is still out, so I'm going to take the family out now. But yeah, thanks for your time, man. It's been really good. Good questions and some good clarity there.
Great stuff, Ryan. I'll see you later, mate. Have a good day.
Cheers. Have a good one. Bye.